YouTube. So I wanted to sit down and share with you my reading plans for February, because even though it's not the month of March where I feel like there's every readathon happening, I'm still participating in 4 readathons this month because I just couldn't resist. They all sounded good. So I wanted to highlight the different books I'm reading for the different events going along through the month of February. Currently, I'm still in my mystery thriller phase for the moment leading up to these readathons. That's just all I want to do right now is read thrillers. So, but that will soon change because I am co-hosting the Little House Readathon with Elizabeth over at Lizzie Phalos Books, and that is starting on February 7th. So it goes from February 7th through the 10th, and I will be switching gears from my thrillers to reading all things Little House on the Prairie, Laura Ingalls Wilder related. So with that, I am going to be reading the pick that the book we selected to read is Little House in the Highlands. This is by Melissa Wiley, and this is focusing on Laura's previous generations of where this is following a little girl in Scotland. So we're going to be all group reading this. It's not required if you want to participate in the reading. This is a book that we're going to be focusing on. And then I'm also going to read On the Banks of Plum Creek by Laura Ingalls Wilder, because Elizabeth has a trivia, a deck of trivia questions. And so we've been doing each one book per live show, and the live show is going to be on the 11th, which I want to say is a Wednesday or Thursday. I'll leave the description in the description. I'll leave notes for that. But the trivia questions aren't vague and general. They're very specific, nitty-gritty kind of questions. So I wanted to at least know what I'm talking about when we go through the trivia. So I wanted to reread this, and this is the very first book I read from the Little House series back when I was a kid, and it was the cover that drew me in, because you have this this girl with her dog running on a hill on the grass, and then her mother is baking, was it pie or something, inside the hill. I was just fascinated by this cover and looking at the description. I remember thinking, this isn't a fantasy, so this is historical fiction. So, they're not little fairies or something living in this hill. So that's what drew me in as a kid. But along with those 2 physical books, I was browsing my library just to see what I could find that was related to Laura Ingalls Wilder that I hadn't heard of before. And I found a whole series of books on Hoopla. And these are all by Diana Aubin, Aubin, and they seem to all have been published in 2025. At least that's what the dates Hoopla has for them. But I've never heard of them before. But I couldn't get the screenshots like I normally do it on my tablet to share with you, because there seemed to be only one book cover, and these might be self-published. I don't know how good they are, but I'm willing to give them a go. And they're all seem to be 100 pages or less. But the first book in the series, they're all focusing on a different character from the Little House on the Prairie series. And the first one is Grace, Life Beyond the Little House. So there's that one. And then I have a couple others, because it seems to be 5 or 6 books in the series. And my library has 3 of them, so I borrowed all 3. This next one is only 35 pages, but it's Aunt Dosia's Journey. And this is a character, again, mentioned in the series, and it's kind of what are they doing during the time that Laura Ingalls Wilder focuses on, and afterwards. And then the last one is Pioneer Heart, Caroline Ingalls, and I read a book called Caroline. I have it up there. I should have got it, but that was a fictionalized version, and I think these are drawing from let's see, now I think I hit the wrong button. Okay, there we go. I was where did my borrows go? Because I clicked it off and then they all disappeared. So yes, those are, let's see, it's the 3 books, and there seems to be 2 or 3 other ones, but my library doesn't have a copy, so I'll see what I can do if I can find them. Okay, Then going on to, let's see, the next Readathon is the Retro Romance Readathon. That's hosted by Storm over at Storm Reads and Sarah over at Reading Category Romance. And for that, that's going through the whole month of February, I believe. And I am going to be reading, and so for the Retro Romance Readathon, it's for books published 20 years ago or earlier. So that's 2006. And I decided to pick The Man in the Dark by Susan Scarlett. And I have been reading through these the series. It's not exactly a series, but I think there's 12 or so books, and I've just been reading in publication order. And the Susan Scarlett is a pen name for Noelle Stratfield. Is that her real name? But she wrote like the ballet shoes, the dancing shoes, that whole children's series. But before she wrote those, she wrote these books were like heartwarming stories about like up and coming young women going through the hard times, like during these like big wars in Europe. You know, it was kind of like finding like being able to identify like all these people reading the books at the time back in like the 1940s and so, in that time period where everyone was so poor and didn't have a lot of money or maybe didn't have a lot of hope. These books were kind of like giving you hope in a way. And so I've really liked all the books so far in the series. And so I'm gonna read this next one here. And then I also, for the Retro Romance Readathon, and Sarah, you know, she's one of the co-hosts, she's also doing a an author spotlight where she's picking one category romance writer per month. And so this month, for her category romance book club, she picked Margaret Way, which is a completely new to me author. But in looking at the catalog, one of the only books I could find that fit the category romance and prior to 2006 that was available to me is Mail Order Marriage, and this is again by Margaret Way, and this is from celebrating the 5 decades of romance. This is you know, like so I think right now they're at like 75 years or so, and so yeah, 25 years ago, or yeah, ish was when this was published. I know nothing about it, but she's an Australian writer, so all of her books, a lot of them take place in the Australian outback, which I always find a fascinating setting to read about. Like, it's so far away from me and so different from the environment that I live in. Okay, so then going to the Wasted Weekend. This is Ollie over at Criminale. He is hosting kind of like a mini Garb August, which I always have fun participating in August, where you read like the trashy books. So like for me, like I've been reading these like airport thrillers, and so you know that could fit, or category romance books that could also fit for this. And so he's doing like a mini, just a mini weekend, and that's from the February 14th to the 15th. And for that, I am going to be reading a couple of the Sweet Valley High books that I have. I don't own this one, book number 24, but I'm going to be reading it digitally. This is Memories, and this is following 2 twin sisters that live in Southern California, and they're blonde and blue-eyed, and they're like really popular in school, but they're very different personalities. And it's got like basically a big high school drama soap opera where each book, they're quick, they're like, I don't know, 100, 200 pages. So I'm going to read this one, Memories, and it says, can Kara make Stephen forget Trisha Martin, which is his old girlfriend, and Stephen is the older brother of the twins. And then number 25, which is a very beat up copy. This came out in, let me see, 1986. So like as I opened it, I was like, maybe I should read this on ebook as well, because as I opened it, like the binding in here was already like cracking immediately, like dry glue or something, you know, like these old books were not exactly made to last. But this one is Nowhere to Run, Will Emily Lose Everything She Loves? So you can kind of see by the tagline how these are all like drama high school books, but they're fun, trashy books to read. And so I'm gonna you know, lighten things up with reading those. And then let me see here. The last Readathon I wanted to talk about is the mini deck of TBRathon, and this is hosted by Chloe at Always Booked and Becca over at Becca Books and Bujo. And this is from the 16th through the 22nd. And I don't have any specific, I'm just checking to make sure I covered all the books. I don't have any specific books picked out for this, but I just wanted to mention it because it was, I always have fun doing this, kind of like Garb August, which is in August, The deck of TBRathon always happens, I want to say June or July, sometime in the summer. And it's always so fun for me because I'm always like competing against myself, where you pick a card and like from a deck of cards, and the number or the suite, not the suite, but the number or like the ace, king, queen, all that gives you a prompt. And so you have like, there's always 3 prompts, and you can get 1 point for like an easy prompt, or there's 3 points and 5 points, and so you can just accumulate points as you go, depending on, you know, which when you're hitting and how many books you read. And so this is like a mini version. It's not a month long. It's just going to be from the 16th to the 22nd. But I always love like the competitiveness against myself. I'm not really one to like group team sports. But if it's something where I'm just working against my own self, I really like those kind of reading events or sporting events, whatever, what have you. And so I feel like I'm going to get a ton of reading done for that. And I'm thinking, because I'm reading so many ebooks recently, January and so far in February, that I'm just going to be culling my shelves, hopefully. And that's like reminding me, I really want to get into doing like a bookshelf tour of all these books, because when I was looking at the Little House on the Prairie books, when I was collecting my TBR for that, I remember last year I did a bookshelf tour of those books, and I've bought a couple more books for that collection since that I last filmed one. So I need to do an updated version of that, and I feel like, yeah, I want to share all these other books like sitting on my shelf with you. And also I need to cull them as well. It's a combination of things. And I also want to see how many books I own that I don't read, because I did that like 2 years ago when I was participating the first time in Ollie Criminali's Read What You Own challenge. And I think at the time I had 300 something, like 350, I want to say 340, 350. But I'd be interested to know how have I gotten any better? Have I gotten worse? Like, I don't think I've gotten too much worse, because the books are still on my shelves. Like I just have the 3 bookcases. Technically I have 4. There's one in the living room, but it's not mostly my books. It's a bunch of random other things. It's only one shelf in there that's mine, or a mix of or so. So yeah. Anyway, that's a rambly tangent there. But I would like to vlog sometime this month. Right now I'm filming right now, and it's like, you can't really, the lighting is always bad here because I'm never facing a window. The windows are over here, but then you would miss the bookcases. But it's really nice and sunny, and so I'm hoping we'll get some more sunny weather later in the month. And so maybe for like the deck, I'm thinking really the deck of TBRathon, where it's going over a week time span. That would be a good time to get some vlogs and vlog footage together, and maybe I can spending more time outside would be nice, because other than these like little spurts of sunny weather, it's like, again, dark and gloomy and rainy, and so you don't necessarily want to sit outside, and especially not sit outside and read a book. Although the Kindles could do it, because you know, they're mostly waterproof. Anyway, so those are my plans for February. Let me know if you're going to be participating in any of these reading events, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, BookTube.